Then the BBC says, well, we found victims. So they have a girl with a fake name called Sophie. They don't show her face. They ask me, what do you think about Sophie? How can I comment on Sophie when Sophie isn't real? Firstly, you've made her up. But with me, they've been attacking me for a solid year and a half, to the point where they had to make up people. What comment do you want me to? If this person even exists, which they don't, and 2 days later, Alice appears.
It's all made up names.
It's all made up names. So Evie,
we could call whatever name we want. But
yeah, Evie is saying 13 years ago I choked her or something. You can get, any man on earth can get screwed with that. If this person exists at all.
I mean, essentially, he's saying the women don't exist. It's a false flag operation by the Matrix. They're out to get me. Well, I mean, for the people listening or watching this today, I can tell you they exist. I've met them. I've spent time with them. What they've been through is real. They very much exist.
After Andrew Tate spent the best part of 2 years lying, saying that 4 British women don't exist or that he doesn't know them, the trial is now official. In January 2027, Tate is going to have to defend allegations of rape, abuse, and coercive control in a trial expected to last 3 weeks in the London High Court. The lawyer for the 4 women, Matthew Jury, spoke to the press outside of the courthouse after this was decided at the first preliminary hearing on Tuesday.
Okay, so thank you everybody for coming today. I've only got a very short statement to make, which is that we are grateful to know today that this case will be going to trial in January 2027. It's not as soon as we would like, but it is going to trial, and nothing's going to prevent that from happening. The consequence of that is, right now, these are the only live proceedings in which Andrew Tate will be facing justice. The Romanian prosecution appears to have fallen apart. The UK government is doing nothing to seek his extradition from overseas. This is the only forum in which Andrew Tate is going to be held to account for those allegations that have been made against him. The defence is going to be seeking to victim shame, minimise the allegations and delegitimise any of the evidence and expert evidence that's going to be brought in the proceedings. All we ask is for fair trial and for our victims to have their day in court.
When Mr. Jury speaks of the Romanian prosecution falling apart, from what he has said publicly, I believe he's referring to the Tates' travel restrictions being relaxed and them being allowed to travel to the US and Dubai. As for this lawsuit, it comes from allegations that 4 women made of violent sexual assaults that took place between 2013 and 2016. The nature of the allegations are typical of what we have been seeing women say that Andrew Tate has done to them time and time again since 2012. Rape, beating, violent strangulation during sex. A typical experience with Andrew Tate, according to now countless women. These allegations became worldwide news shortly after the Tate's initial arrest, when Matt Shea spoke to some of the women in a report for Vice News in January 2023. This report revealed some text messages that Tate sent one of the women, including this one saying that he loved raping her, and this one saying that when she is under his control, he does what he pleases. The report also revealed these now infamous voice notes that Tate sent one of the women.
Am I a bad person? Because the more you didn't like it, the more I enjoyed it. I fucking loved how much you hated it. Turned me on. Why am I like that? Why? I am one of the most dangerous men on this planet. Sometimes you forget exactly how lucky you were to get fucked by me. Would you rather me pin you down and make you do things you didn't like, or would you rather fuck? You didn't like that I was thinking I can do whatever I want to. That's what it is. I'm the smartest person on this fucking planet. Are you seriously so offended I strangled you a little bit? You didn't fucking pass out. Chill the fuck out. Jesus Christ, I thought you were cool. What's wrong with you?
For over 2 years now, Andrew Tate's supporters have been coping, saying that these voice notes aren't real, they're AI, and they're not evidence. I hate to break it to them, but they are in evidence. The kind of AI technology needed to recreate them didn't exist in 2014, and just crying and saying that they're not real isn't going to hold up in court. On the 11th of April, a report from the BBC revealed some new details from the court documents of the women's complaint against Tate. It revealed that according to one of the women, Tate had pointed a gun at her face and said, "You are going to do as I say, or there'll be hell to pay." One woman claims Tate threatened to kill her. Another says he made it clear that he would kill anyone who spoke to her. And a third claims that Tate convinced her that he had killed other people. For anyone who thinks these claims seem far-fetched or out of character for Andrew Tate, I'm sorry to say you are flat out wrong. We have seen many times from text message exchanges pulled from Tate's device in evidence. This is how he regularly talks to women in his life. In the BBC report, one of the women who is suing Tate, who went by the pseudonym Sienna, spoke about some of the alleged abuse she experienced at the hands of Andrew Tate.
He'd come back to mine after his shift as a doorman, and we were chatting and obviously went into the bedroom. The sex started off as consensual, as it had kind of done the first time we had slept together, but something kind of changed and he started saying really horrible things. He held me kind of against the wall by my neck and said that he owned me and told me to tell him that I belonged to him. And then he put his hands around my neck and strangled me until I passed out. And then I kind of recovered and came back around from consciousness, and he was still having sex with me. And yeah, I didn't really get much sleep that night. It was quite scary. He obviously stayed in my bed that night, and I didn't really want to tell him to leave, but he would just kept telling me that he owned me and tell me to tell him that I loved him. And then in the morning, he left, and as he was leaving, he was being quite threatening again and saying that if he had a ticket on his car, he was going to come back and kill me. So he was very threatening the whole time, and yeah, it's quite scary.
One thing that we know about Andrew Tate is that he is a serial, pathological liar, and this doesn't end with what we have seen from him on social media. I applied for and got access to Tate's defense of the claims from these women from the King's Bench, and it revealed that Andrew Tate, making an utter fool of himself with embarrassing lies, also happens in court. You might recall that Andrew has continuously said that these 4 women don't exist or that he doesn't know them. Yet, when it came time to defend himself in court, Andrew's memory magically suddenly came back to him. I'm going to refer to this thread that I posted back in January that exposed these ridiculous contradictions from Andrew. For the first of the 4 alleged victims, Andrew suddenly remembered the exact Starbucks where he met this woman and that she worked for him for 4 days in a flat above a shop. He remembers the second flat she worked in and that she worked for him later in a Hilton hotel for a few days. He suddenly recalls specific conversations he had with this woman. He remembers an encounter where the woman alleges an assault took place and gives his own detailed version of what happened.
Then the BBC says, well, we found victims. So they have a girl with a fake name called Sophie. They don't show her face. They ask me, what do you think about Sophie? How can I comment on Sophie when Sophie isn't real? Firstly, you've made her up.
For the second alleged victim, he remembers the exact Starbucks where he met her, conversations about her former workplace, how she felt about it, the hourly rate and working hours they negotiated, and very specific locations where he had her working at specific times. Andrew tells the court he introduced her to friends and that they watched lots of films together. He remembers exactly when she stopped working for him and recalls the period that she worked from home and which specific person she lived with. Andrew recalls the exact night where she alleges an assault took place and gives his version of events.
But with me, they've been attacking me for a solid 1.5 years, to the point where they had to make up people. Sophie, 13 years ago, you said to Sophie, make me a coffee. You're evil. Tried to destroy my reputation and my life by extension.
According to Andrew's own defense, he had known the third alleged victim for years, and she had previously dated Tristan. He suddenly has a clear memory of reconnecting with her and which specific nightclub they met at. He remembers as much detail about this woman, to the point that he recalls getting confirmation from Tristan via text that he didn't mind him going on a date with her. Andrew recalls the night that she alleges he raped her and gives his version of events.
What comment do you want me to? If this person even exists, which they don't, then I destroy the BBC, make it very clear to them that Sophie doesn't exist, on repeat, because she doesn't. And 2 days later, Alice appears.
It's all made up names.
It's all made up names.
Yes.
So Evie,
we could call whatever name we want. But
yeah, Evie is saying 13 years ago I choked her or something. You can get, any man on earth can get screwed with that, if this person exists at all.
Andrew gives an extremely detailed recollection of his time with the fourth alleged victim. He remembers the exact club where he met her, that she cooked a meal for him that night, and what specific meal it was. He recalls going for a run that day, that she had a university project due, and that she was planning a trip to Spain. I should note that the dispute I mentioned about Andrew refusing to pay her was mistakenly attributed to the fourth victim and actually happened to the first and second. Andrew recalls the exact night that she alleges he sexually assaulted her and gives his own version of events. Again, a reminder that for the past 2 years straight, Andrew Tate has been telling his fans that these women are made up, they don't exist. He doesn't know who they are.
I'm actually such a nice person that
The
I've never had
BBC has
anyone come at
spoken
me.
to somebody since your arrest who says exactly those things, that with you it's all manipulation, there's an ulterior
Is this
motive
Sophie?
to everything
Is
you
this
do.
Sophie? Oh, it's Sophie, the fake name, no face. No,
I was so
the
intent
story that
on
was
wanting to
invented.
please him.
To any of Andrew Tate's fans watching, he was forced in court to admit he has been lying to you. Almost everything he has ever said about any of his cases, civil or criminal, have been pathetic lies. For those that aren't aware, 3 of the 4 women initially reported these alleged assaults to the police in 2014. The investigation was horribly botched. Incredibly, it took until 2019 for the Hertfordshire Police to pass the report to the Crown Prosecution Service. By this time, the Tates had fled to Romania, and the CPS decided not to prosecute Tate. To this day, they have still refused to reopen the criminal investigation. A decision that Matthew Jury, the lawyer for the women, told True Geordie last year he believes was political.
But also, we're instructed to represent them in, let's just put it this way, encouraging the UK authorities to revisit their investigation or make a different decision as to whether to prosecute Tate for the complaints that were made by our clients back in 2014.
So that could restart potentially in future.
Potentially. I have deep concerns, which I've already expressed, that the investigation may not have been an effective one, and that the decision by the CPS in 2019 not to prosecute was a wrong one. We went back to the police in early last year, so early 2023, and they were very clear to us that in their opinion there was sufficient evidence for Tate to have been prosecuted by the CPS, and that they disagreed with the CPS's decision. We went to the CPS and said, are you going to reconsider your decision in light of the fact that Tate's been arrested and is being prosecuted for the very crimes he's alleged to have committed here in England? And the answer was a resounding, no, we're not. Now, I'm going to stress, this is just my opinion, but I believe that there is a chance that that was a very political decision by the CPS. Because how could the CPS turn around now and say, you know what, we got it wrong. We should have prosecuted him for the alleged crimes he committed in Hertfordshire, or which were under investigation by the Hertfordshire Constabulary. We should have prosecuted him for those years ago and before he fled to Romania, where he went on to allegedly commit more crimes and where he has been the subject of an investigation and prosecution by the Romanian authorities that has likely cost the Romanian taxpayer millions. How does the CPS own up to that mistake now? I'm not sure that they can without there being very serious blowback.
People don't want to lose jobs, which would be potentially the outcome of that, right? Because when you look into people, when you look into cases that have gone like that, people tend to lose their jobs over it, so that they're not going to want to accept that.
I mean, I couldn't speak to that, but I do wonder whether there is a decision that's been made, which is, okay, so we're not going to revisit the complaints that were made to the Hertfordshire Police, and we're not going to prosecute those complaints. Because if we do that, we've got to admit a very serious mistake that had some far-reaching ramifications. So what we're going to do instead is we're just going to hide behind the fact that Bedfordshire has investigated the complaints by women under their jurisdiction, and that the CPS has obviously decided to prosecute those complaints.
The new ones, sorry.
The new ones.
Yeah.
And then hopefully the Hertfordshire...
We'll get them anyway, sort of thing.
The Hertfordshire victims, we've got them anyway, so that's fine. It's not fine.
Agreed.
It's not fine. Not if you're a woman who wasn't believed, despite the abundance of evidence, and was essentially let down by the system, which then let Tate walk free, allowed him to, I'm going to say, flee to Romania because he knew he was in trouble here.
Mm-hmm.
So to that extent, we've made it clear that we are seeking an inquiry, whether it's a government inquiry, a parliamentary inquiry, whatever it may be, into what's taken place here and what's happened, in the hope that our clients, the victims of those complaints which were made to Hertfordshire Police, will have their day in court. And not just in the civil case, but in terms of a criminal prosecution.
So they would be willing to go to a criminal prosecution situation if...
Our clients, yes.
Yeah, so it's not that they're not willing to, as some people kind of say online. Yeah.
Absolutely not.
Exactly.
In fact, the criminal case would always take precedent over the civil case. They want a criminal prosecution. That's what they want.
Yeah,
It's hard to know what's going to happen with the Tate's criminal cases. They have friends in high places in the United States, and the case in Romania seems to be in a bit of a shambles, with the Tates being freely allowed to travel since there was US interference. And it has now been confirmed that the UK had an opportunity to extradite the Tates while they were in the US and let it slip by. Unfortunately, at this stage, this civil case, that has now been approved to be going to trial, appears to be the only confirmed justice that any of Andrew Tate's alleged victims are seeing. It is very costly to get such a case to the London High Court, with costs including legal fees and expert witness testimony. Although this trial is confirmed, these 4 women need help getting it there. I'll include the link to their crowdfund in the description. If you can spare a donation, please help them out. And if you can share this link on your social media pages, it will be a major help. For updates on this or any of the Tate's criminal and civil cases, make sure you're subscribed and follow me on Twitter, Threads and Blue Sky, where I'll be sharing news regularly.